Hello, teachers, parents, and educational leaders, and welcome to this episode of Breaking Down the B.E.S.T. Now, during this episode, you will get a peek into the members-only area where I have tons of resources to help you make math fun, make it click, and make it stick. There should be a link somewhere around this video where you can learn more. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to it, and let's break down the standard. Welcome to Breaking Down the B.E.S.T, a video series dedicated to breaking down Florida's B.E.S.T standards for math. So grab something to write with and maybe even a snack. This looks good. And don't forget to put a smile on your face. There you go, I see you. And let's dive into today's B.E.S.T standard. What's going on, everybody, and welcome. My name is Sarah McCarthy, the creator of McCarthy Math Academy, and thanks for joining me here today. I know that you've got a really busy schedule, and I'm grateful for the time that you're choosing to spend with me. So let's jump into today's B.E.S.T standard, which happens to be MA.4.NSO.2.6. MA stands for math, 4 stands for 4th grade, NSO means number sense operations, and 2.6 is the benchmark that we're working on. By the way, this document that I'm marking up all over today is not something that I created. It's something that the Florida Department of Education puts out. It's open to the public, and so you should grab yourself a copy so you can mark it up like I do, or in your own way. We're all a little different. That's cool. Okay, so this standard says that we're going to identify the number that is 1/10 more, which means we'll be adding 1/10, and notice that is in the form of a decimal. 1/10 less, so subtracting 1/10. 1/100th more, adding 1/100th. Or 1/100th less, subtracting 1/100th than a given number. So here's some examples for you there. So some of the related benchmarks that are in 4th grade and kind of align to this standard are the following. There's MA.4.NSO.2.6 is where we're plotting, ordering, and comparing decimal numbers. Also, we have the FR, the fractions strand, where we're converting from tenths to hundredths and then back from hundredths to tenths. This is a great time to incorporate that since we're working in the decimal form of 1/10. You can connect it to the fraction form of 1/10. Also here in 1.2, we're going from fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions, so converting there. In 4.M.1.2, we are working with measurement conversions. And 4.M.2.2 is erasing before my very eyes. Is two-step problems using distance and time. I really think that the first 2-3 standards are the ones that really connect with this one right here. Some terms, making sure that you understand that an equation means that there is an equal sign present, and that an expression means that you might have numbers and symbols, but you do not see an equal sign present. Where are they coming from? Well, in 3rd grade, there isn't anything that bumps up into 4th grade that aligns to 4th grade, but in 2nd grade, there is. In 2nd grade, they should have worked with 10 more or less and 100 more or less. It would have been kind of cool to see something in 3rd grade, though, that talked about this more or less, that aligned. And then in 5th grade, we are going to be adding and subtracting decimal numbers. Not just 1/10 more or 1/10 less, but actually adding and subtracting decimals. You know what? I think you do that in this year too. Yeah, why didn't they make that standard? Okay, you know what? Let's add that. In the very next standard that we do, that should have been a connector for 4th grade. So here for related, I would put here that our very next standard is definitely related to the one we're working on today. 2.7 is where we're adding and subtracting decimals. Wow. Okay. So that is definitely related. I think this is great to point in the direction, this area right here, the related benchmarks. But I wouldn't ever consider that the end all be all. You can find, the cool thing about math is that it all kind of connects together. I just would add this one because I really feel like that is a great related horizontal alignment benchmark there. Okay, back to 5th grade. So in 5th grade, we will also move up to exploring multiplication and division with decimals using estimation. Okay, so 1/10 more, 1/10 less, 100th more, 100th less. Now let's move to the purpose and instructional strategy section. And let me just point out what jumped out at me. This whole point, we should be using place value understanding to reason how adding and subtracting 1/10 and 100th changes a number's value. So having those talks about what's happening when we increase a place by 1/10 or 100th or decrease it. A great way to do that is to be using manipulatives, visual models, discussions, estimation, and drawings. Okay, then in the common misconceptions or error section on this, it says that students may have preconceptions about relating units to ones. So the units, the little small cubes, being considered the ones for so long, the rods to tens, and the flats to 100s. And now what we're doing is changing that. And this can be confusing when their values shift from whole numbers into decimals, because we use base 10 blocks to also model using decimals. So really take time to help students make that shift, that now the hundreds block is becoming that 1. The 10 rod is becoming a 10th, and the little unit cubes that used to be ones are now going to be hundredths when we're modeling. Students may also struggle with 100th being smaller because they're used to a 100 being larger than a 10, but now the 100th is actually smaller than the 10th. And I made a note here to with an example that they might struggle with something like this if they have 4 ones and we're subtracting 1/10, what that looks like, right? How we're regrouping there, and that's why I think it's really important to be using those base 10 blocks while we're going over that, because there will be regrouping. Here are some examples to help get in to be vetting questions and seeing what exactly is the standard look like in action, so you can take time to look through that down there. But I think we should go ahead and look at what you have access to with your membership. So let's do that. All right, so going to McCarthy Math Academy, we'll enter here. You can also enter the tab up top, looking at taking on the best. Which grade? 4th grade, MA.4. The strand is NSO, and we are on 4. Nope, let me try that again. MA.4.NSO.2.6, 1/10 or 100 more or less. All right, these are the bronze resources. So if you have access to this, you have the video lessons and the printable. Video lesson and printable, video lesson and printable right there. So in this one, before we even jump into 1/10 more or less, we take some time here to get these foundational skills going, where we're modeling the different place values. We're identifying, here I'll click on the page so you can see, we're identifying the places that these numbers are in. We're talking about the value that those digits are in. And then we're also modeling this using base 10 blocks so you can start to practice using that, okay? And then for 1/10 more or less, we're just focusing on 1/10 more or less. We're writing the number in the place value chart. This might be the first time that your students are seeing decimals, so we got to take time with this. How do we write this in word form? If we can read the number, we can write it in word form. What would be 1/10 more and what's 1/10 less? Okay. You can also be modeling alongside using place value blocks with this as well, because that's what the standard is calling for. Then in the next video, 100th more or less, same kind of thing. Jot it in the place value chart, write it in word form. What's 100th more and what's 100th less? 2 examples there. So we do it right, your students can do it right alongside me in the videos with the bronze membership. And then if you have access to the silver, you have even more resources at your fingertips. You can go to the bronze resource at any time. But with the silver, you have access to your printables, your answer keys, and this math misconception mystery video. Let's look at the printables. So here you can see the video lesson. It's all just together, so it makes it easier for you to print and make your copies. Then we've got another video lesson. And here's some extra practice, which looks very similar to what we did in the lesson. Another day of extra practice, or another practice page, because practice is how they're going to get better. We have another video lesson and some practice, probably 2 practice sheets there. This is a math mission. It's like a math task where we can take the standard and combine it all together. Where in the video lessons, we might be deconstructing what the skills are in the video. The math missions throw it all back together. So Misha is thinking of a number. She has included some clues about her number. My number has 32 tens. My number has 4 ones. The digit in the tenths place is 1/10 less than, and you get the idea there. Writing the number in word form. Create a new number. So it's a lot of thinking that's required from the students here. And then in this math misconception mystery video, your students will solve this problem. What is 1/100th less than 1 9/10? And then they will continue on in the episode, and 4 characters, which are really just me dressed up as silly characters, will solve this problem too. 3 of those characters make a mistake that students commonly make, and only 1 character has the most reasonable answer. So students will watch as all 4 characters solve, then they'll determine who the most reasonable answer belongs to, and what did the character do that was correct, what was their error, what do they need to understand for next time. So this is their detective report. Super fun, great for math discussions and error analysis, and there's the video for that. You also have your answer keys right there with answers to all the printables. And if you have the gold resource, you have access, or the gold plan, you have access to a little bit more. You have the mini assessment. See the variety of question types here. Okay. And then you have your answer key. You have this breaking down the best ad-free video, which is also available on YouTube. You can find it there. It just makes it ad-free. It's a little perk of having the gold resource. No ads. And then the biggest component is McCarthy Math 155, which gives you access to 155 grade level lessons. This is the program I created before this one, which was aligned to the Common Core standard. So not everything, you're not going to find everything here, but you have a lot at your fingertips. So there is no, I'm trying to think, there is not a direct correlation to 1/10 more or 1/10 less in McCarthy Math 155, but I just want to show you, you have access to a lot to pull from, because they don't even really, they get into relate fractions and decimals in McCarthy Math 155. Modeling tenths might be helpful, modeling hundredths, but again, this is more with the fraction side of things. Here they have for changing fractions to decimals. So you can see it does have great practice here for what's coming up, but nothing specifically aligned to this standard is in McCarthy Math 155, but you do have a lot. Cool. All right. So that's what you have access to with your plans. Make sure that you break out those place value blocks. Encourage your students to use a place value chart so that way they have a nice solid understanding this year and can do even more of an exploration with decimals next year. Before you go, I want to remind you that what you're doing every day with your life as a teacher, it really does matter. Our students, they are the future, and we have a wonderful opportunity to guide them towards the best version of themselves, to believe in them until they can believe in themselves. So thank you for all that you do. I know that this profession is intense. It can be exhausting. It's super stressful, but it's worth it. And I cannot wait to see you on the next episode, so I'll see you all soon. Thank you for all that you do for students. Okay, so I know that I just said goodbye for now, but I'm gonna ask you to do one more thing, okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing it with your teacher friends or other leaders in education. That's how I get to continue doing what I love to do, which of course is supporting you all to the best of my ability. All right, for real now, bye.